person on vacation as well. Muy bien. Y buenos días, muy buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo están? ¿Bien?
Estoy bien.
Bien, magnífico, magnífico. Okay. We are going to be kind of working on a bunch of different levels again today because we're going to tackle a lot of different things kind of all swirling together. But we are going to start with numbers. I'm probably going to spend less time on numbers today than I have the other days, just because in the fall class, I'll probably do a review of it. In the fall class, it moves on just because people always need a periodic review. So I'm going to do a little intro, but not more than say 15, 20 minutes on numbers. And beyond that today, we are going to go into using ser and estar, knowing when to use one or the other. We're going to weave in that new verb, tener, to have, tener, to have. Tener is a super, super important verb. We're going to weave in some of the vocabulary, a lot of the vocabulary from capítulo 4. Boy, is it 4? I think it is 4. La casa, the house. And we're going to start an introduction on adjectives. It is a real natural progression to start to weave in adjectives. So I'm going to tell you ahead of time that for homework to prep for next week, definitely for between after class today and next week, do read through chapter 5 because that's a biggie. It talks about adjectives, and I will introduce it today so that when you read it, it feels a little more natural. But you'll see more examples when you check out that chapter. Okay, a ver. Vamos a empezar con números. I'm going to do a share screen here so we check this out. A lot of you did the recording. If you did the recording late, I will go and check on Teacher Tools. I had 3 folks who did it and I checked out. Your pronunciation is, it gets better and better every time. It is super great to hear that. I love listening to that. But we're going to take a look at some of these higher numbers and do about 15, 20 minutes with these. And the higher numbers, you know, if you know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 1 through 10, these elements from that 1 through 10 start to filter into those other numbers as we base up. Spanish, unlike French, French has notoriously difficult numbers because their ways of saying higher numbers are very unconventional for other languages. Spanish is very traditional. Once you know the 1 through 10, there are a lot of things you can pull from that basic 1 through 10 information and plug it into the new information. So here we're looking at hundreds. And whenever we talk, you know that ciento, when people were doing their numbers off of the charts, they were absolutely getting them right, that cien is 100. It's that shorty form of 100, cien, C-I-E-N, but pronounced cien. But ciento, the long form of 100, is anything from 101 through 199. Okay, and then we take this word ciento, 100, and we make it plural, cientos, and put the number of hundreds in front of it. 200, 300, 400, okay? So I'm going to pronounce the big chart numbers. And again, don't worry about the feminine forms because the feminine forms are there only if you're describing a group of feminine things. And for tourists, that's not a real common distinction to make. You're going to be using the masculine looking form when you talk about how much stuff costs or addresses. I mean, that's in fact the number you're going to use. So don't worry about the feminine form. Do know that it exists. If you have a meeting of 200 female entrepreneurs, you need the feminine. Yeah. How often are you as a tourist going to use that? Okay, so I'm going to say just the chart numbers. Don't feel you have to pronounce after me, but I am going to have you practice with the table below here. We'll do the table below as oral practice before we move to our price ads for practice. So we've got 200, 300, 400, you see the pattern, 200s, plural, 300s, 400s. And here, this one is in bold because it is the odd one. And my high school students, when I had high school, this is the one that nobody liked because it does not follow the pattern. You think it should be cinco, and it's not cinco. It is quin. It's the quin that you used with quince, 15. So it is still a 5-base number. It's just more Latin-y than it is Spanish. So we've got quinientos. And it sounds like quin, like the quin from quince. Quinientos. And notice that in the ientos, we knock off the letter C from ciento. So this is an oddball number out of the whole group. It is the weird one, which is why it's in bold. Quinientos, quinientos. And then we go back to the pattern. 600, 700, 800, 900. And again, the nove is like the nove from noventa. You know, it's like the nove from the word 90. Instead of having nueve, UE, it goes to a shorter sound of O, okay? Which again is very Latin. If you grew up Catholic like me and, you know, and your grandma prayed in novenas, it was a 9-day regimen of prayers. And then novena in the Catholic Church comes from that same thing. Okay, a ver, vamos a practicar ahora. We're going to practice now. We're going to practice saying some of these. We are not going to look at 300,000. I will maybe do some of those for you, but you as a tourist are unlikely to need to know how to say 300,000. You know, if you were a realtor, maybe you'd need to know that. Okay, here we go. 243. ¿Cómo se dice? Anybody want to try that one? 245. Not 243. Not enough caffeine. Clearly not enough caffeine yet this morning. 245. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? Mary?
Yes. 245.
45. Muy bien. Muy bien. Okay. And notice 45. And notice it's not 200 y. No. The E will never be between the 200 and the double digit, okay? The E only comes before the very last number, if that number is more than 0. So, 245, how about 412? 412. Bien. Pat, ¿quieres? Want to try that one?
412.
Perfecto. And you don't need an E. And you did that right. We don't need the E, right? Yep, that 412. Well, it's a 12. I don't need an E word. Okay. Bien. Bueno, they give us the next one. 632. Okay, let's look at 791. And absolutely feel free to look at your cheat sheets at this point because es normal. Who wants to give that a try? Shelley, you want to give that one a try? 791?
I think I'm going to pass. I'm just
Okay.
not comfortable with them yet. I have so much more practicing to do.
That's okay. That's a-okay. No worries. Okay. Roger, ¿quieres? You want to give that one a try? Oh, and I think you're on mute. Oh, you are on mute, Roger. I
Okay,
think you're.
got it.
You got
Can
it.
you hear me
Okay.
now?
Sí, te puedo oír. I can hear you.
Okay, so 700, 91.
Perfecto, muy bien. 791, okay? And then we get 1900. And notice how odd, how odd. Instead of a comma, they use a period. So the $1 million question becomes, what do they do if they have a decimal point? It's a comma. In a lot of European countries, that is what is done. 1900, 1900, there you go. And I'm going to look at 2,200. I'm going to show you how the thousands work. Real briefly, how the thousands work are, with ciento, we had plural cientos, but with thousand, it's going to always say mil. We don't make mil into, well, you can make it into miles, but you don't for looking at counting numbers. So, okay, 2,000 will be this, 2,000. Yay, 2,000, okay? 2,000, 2,200, 2,200, okay? We're going to skip, well, actually, I'll do the next one. 24, because I have it down there. 24,000, 24,000. That's all you do. You put the word 24 in front of the word thousand, mil. Boom. Okay. Let's look at the second column. And I know they've got things in feminine, but ignore that, please. And keep it in, yeah, don't go making 800 like this, 800. I would say 840. Okay. ¿Cómo se dice 330? 330.
330.
330. 330. Excelente. Uh-oh, here's the bad one, the big bad one. 590.
50,
See,
50, 90.
almost. 50 is 50.
Ah, sí.
Yeah, 50 is 50. So it's still, it's a keen number. Keen, I'll help you with this one. 500.
Oh,
590. 590. And I guarantee you with these higher numbers, we're going to do an extra thing in the fall if you're signed up, because people in that class are always like, oh yeah, I need to review that again. Okay, so 590, 590. Bien, then we got 840, 840. And now let's look at 923. Roger, ¿quieres? Want to give that one a go?
900. Let's see, did I get that right? No.
And almost, okay.
No, 900.
Excellent.
23.
Bien, 923, 923. And, you know, because you know 90, it's easy for that to interfere with the new number. And how it interferes is 90 cientos. That's, and that is a normal thing for your brain is looking for a pattern. But we cut it down to the short, 923. 923. Okay. And our next one, our 1,000 number will be 1,500. 1,500. And look at 8,000. 8,800. 8,800. If I do 15,200 below it, it's 15,000, because it's 15,000. 15 with the word mil, thousand. 15,200. 15,200. Okay. I'm going to say the bottom numbers for you, but I don't expect you to know them, or really you're not going to likely need them, but here's how they will sound. Okay, I'm going to look over on the left-hand side. A la izquierda, 300,000. 300,000. 300,000. Okay, 640,000 would be 640,000. You get the idea. 850,000 would be 850,000. 50,000. Okay, you don't need to know those, but just so that you hear, that's how it rolls. Okay. A ver, let's take a look at some pricing so that you actually get a chance to practice. Vamos a practicar aquí. We're going to practice with some hundreds numbers. A ver, bien. Productos de celulares. Hay un celular muy, muy, muy barato. Here's a really cheap one here, way on the right. See, if I use again the question, ¿cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta este celular? Cuesta 59 dólares. 59 dólares. I'm going to swing all the way over to the left. The left. 224. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cuánto cuesta? 224 bucks. All the way down.
220 cuatro.
Y cuatro.
Okay.
Y cuatro. We need the E at the very end because that 4 hanging off the back end, right? That's what needs the E. 224. 224. Muy bien. Okay, vale. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does this next one cost?
299.
Perfecto. Cuesta, it costs. Cuesta 299. Perfecto. Más barato, cheaper down here, the next one over. ¿Cuánto cuesta? It's just a 100 one, so 149.
So 149.
Y 9, perfecto. 149, 149, perfecto. Perfecto, muy bien. Los relojes, okay. 99, 99, we've got that. Let's look at 299. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? ¿Cuánto cuesta el reloj inteligente? A smartwatch. Un reloj inteligente.
299.
Perfecto, 299. And if we put it in a whole sentence, it becomes cuesta, it costs. Cuesta 299. Muy bien. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? Next one over.
249.
Almost. Instead of cuatro, we're going to have it 200. 49. Bien. Now, all the little mistakes you're making are very typical, and don't let that hang you up. Okay, it's very typical to look at that and say 204 because you're looking at that digit, right? And your mind is going through the single digits. So that is a natural kind of mistake. And we go back and say, aha, it's a double digit. It's a double digit. So instead of 40, right? Bien. So, these are things that come with time, con el tiempo, con la experiencia. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Vamos a ver. Let's take a look at these. My husband likes pages like this. Okay, all right. I'm looking at the bottom tier here, not the big chests up on top, but the bottom tier. Cuesta 149. 149. Bien. ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does this one cost? 260.
269.
Excelente. 269. Excelente. Aquí, ¿cuánto cuesta? How much does this set cost? 349.
Cuesta 349.
Perfecto, muy bien. We've got 199. Now let's look at the big bad boys up on top here. 778, 778. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? And it's going to sound like siete, but we leave off the the I dot with the dot.
So 700,
700
70, 80.
y ocho.
Y ocho.
Y 8. Okay. Cuesta, it costs 778. 778. Perfecto. Bien. ¿Cuánto cuesta? Very last one at the top. ¿Cuánto cuesta? 898.
I guess I'll try one. Cuesta 800 I say I just can't say
That's
the
okay.
90
Excellent.
y 9.
Muy bien.
Oh no, not it's 8.
Y ocho. Muy
ocho.
bien, Shelley. Muy bien, muy bien. 898. 898. Ok, fantástico. Una página más. One more page. Let's go for the big guns. It's the big guns. Electrodomésticos. Electrodomésticos. These are appliances. We're going to look at the top tier here. Top tier, 347. Quizás un poquito más grande. Mejor, a little bit easier to read. Okay. Bueno, vamos a la izquierda, on the left, a la izquierda, 347. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cuánto cuesta? Un lavaplatos, it's a dishwasher. Es un lavaplatos.
340 y 70.
Y 7.
Siete.
7.
Yeah,
And-
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now what you're seeing from the practice, and this is very normal again, a lot of times that your brain is making a transition between the 1 through 0 hasta 10, 0 through 10 numbers, and the double digits. And sometimes the brain needs some time to process those. We tend to often mix up the single digit numbers and the double digit numbers, okay? So this is a normal thing. It's a little hump we get over just with more practice. ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? This is a hard one because it's a 500. It's a 500. It's keen.
549.
Y 9, muy bien. 549. 549. Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, ¿cuánto cuesta? How much does this one cost?
599.
Perfecto, perfecto, muy bien. Okay, a ver, a la izquierda, way on the left here, 439. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Cuesta 400 39.
Muy bien. 439. Muy bien, muy bien. Fantástico. And we've got lots of 5s here for a reason, because the 5 one needs practice. So I'm torturing you guys with the 5 one. Okay. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Casta
Keen. It's keen.
500.
500. Okay, vale.
29.
Excelente. 500. 529. 529. Okay, aquí. A la derecha, way on the right. A la derecha, aquí. A la derecha. 799.
599 or 799?
799.
Oh, I don't see that.
I skipped one, that's why.
Okay.
A la derecha, way on the right.
Oh, my thing's in the way, sorry.
That's okay. Está bien.
799.
Excelente. 799. Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Let's tackle some big ones here. 1,000. Which is the very, very metric kind of oriented number. If you work with a metric system, this word for 1,000 is like super logical. 1,500. And notice we can't say 1,500. You can do that in French. You can't do that in Spanish. We have to say it as 1,599.
So is that 1,500?
Excellent.
99.
Excelente. 1,599. 1,599. We can't say it as 1,599. We can do that in English. Even French allows that. This is probably why English allows it. But Spanish does not. You have to say that as 1,599. Okay. 529. ¿Cuánto cuesta? It's very keen.
Casa 529.
Muy bien, Roger. Sí, 529. 529. Oh, let's look at 2,099.
2099.
2,099. Perfecto. 2,099. Y por fin, finally way over here. 2,299. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Go go ahead.
2,299.
Excelente. 2,299. 2,299. Perfecto, perfecto. That was perfect. Okay. Ustedes hicieron bien. You guys did really, really well with that. Vale, magnífico. Vamos a ver. We're going to do a super short dictado. I've got to grab my correct page. We're going to do it. Un lápiz, una pluma, something to write with. We're just going to do a quickie with dictado. And we're only going to do a few numbers on the dictado. So again, with the dictado, which means dictation, nothing more than that, you are going to write as a digit the number I say. I will say a number and I will repeat it 3 times because these are going to be triple digit number. Well, one is longer, but okay. I'm going to say numbers. They won't be in any order. They'll be all mixed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 numbers. It's a shorter one because these are bigger numbers. Okay. Let's see if you can write down the number as I say it, and then I'll show you the answers when we're done. Número uno. 830. 830. And if somebody said it fast, it would be 830. Okay. Número 2, number 2, 1,200. 1,200. 1,200. Okay. Número 3, number 3. 750. 750. They say it fast, and normal speed will be 750. Número 4, number 4, número 4, 525. 525. Normal speed sounds like 525. Okay. Número 5, 370. 370. Normal speed is 370. Y por fin, el último, the last one, número 6, 940. 940. Normal speed is 940. 940. Okay. I will show you what they are, what they were. Here they are. See how many you got right. And I'm going to give you one extra little tidbit of information, and then we're going to move on to a different topic after this. So we had 830, 1,200, 750, 525, 370, 940. Bien? Okay. And again, I'll come back to this next fall for sure, because people always need refreshers on this. I'm going to give you just one extra tidbit of information. And this is not, it might come up, but just so you know how it works. Sometimes when people are talking about dates, like let's say you take a tour. You take a tour of some ancient site, an old cathedral, Mayan ruins, you know, I don't know. And the tour guide is talking in Spanish about what year something was built. Or somebody asks, like as they look at your passport, what year you were born, God knows, you know, something like that. When we have years, in English for years, we often, you know, you might, okay, 800 BC or 800 AD, it's 800, right? But instead of saying, when we say you're like 1492, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, blah, 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 yeah, right? 1492, just know when we do years in Spanish, you cannot say that as 1492. You have to say it as 1,000. Yeah, 492. That's what they do, okay? So 1492 becomes 1492, which sounds like really long. It is, but that's the way they say it, okay? I used to have my high school students talk about, oh, give your birth date. Now I have to be careful about that. I can't do that anymore because, you know, Social Security fraud, you never know. But, you know, let's say somebody was born. I used to have this happen with my students. They say, well, I was born in this year. And then they'd pause and say, oh, shoot. This is hard because I can't say it as 1997. The year becomes 1997. 1997. Yeah. And the kids who were born after the 2000s loved it because he said, yeah, I don't have to do the 1900. Yeah. 1900, but 2010, it's that short, 2010, yeah. So the 2000 birth daters loved it. The kids who were born in the 1990s like groaned every time I made them do that. 1997. Okay, bien. So just so you know, when people talk about years, it has to go into the very, very long 1,000 form. That's just the way they do it. Okay, bien. And more with that later. y más después. Trying to get my things lined up properly here. Vale, vale, vale. Próximo, próximo. Next we're going to get into a little bit of our ser and estar. Ser and estar. I'm going to not play the whole video, but just showed you what that video looked like. I am hoping you all watched that video for homework. She was showing contextual examples, context relevant examples of why we use estar. We're going to talk about why we use estar, what are the forms of estar. We'll back up first to make sure we know the forms of estar. Then we'll do reasons for using estar, and then we'll see some examples of how we talk about people using estar. Because remember, in Spanish, sadly, we have two verbs that mean to be, and they can be kind of confusing for people who are English speakers because we don't do that in English at all. Did you have any questions about this video that you want to pause and ask me before we start in on this verb estar and the forms of estar? Nada? Hola, perrito. Hello to the doggy. Okay. A ver. Muy bien. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. We're going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay. Estar. Let's take a look at this page. Estar, like ser, is what we call an irregular verb. That means it does not follow a nice, neat, easy to predict pattern, and it has to be memorized. Okay, so whereas with ser we had soy, eres, es to talk about one person, somos when I am in the group, somos, right, for nosotros, and son to talk about more than one person. Estar will get these forms. Like soy ended in oy, this ends in oy also. Estoy. This looks more regular than ser because at least we start off everything with est, like estar, right? Estar. Okay, but yo estoy, tú estás, él está, ella está, usted está. Él and ella and usted talk about three different kinds of people, he, she, and you formal, but they always use the same verb. And this will hold true whether they're regular verbs or irregular verbs. Él, ella, and usted always use one verb form. They share the same kind of verb form. And that's always called third person singular because it means only one person. But it's third person, not first person I, not second person you. Okay. The nosotros one is estamos, right? And vosotros uses estáis, but that's only in Spain, so we'll kind of gloss over that. And then ellos, they, ellas, all gals, they, and ustedes, you guys, uses están. So we have estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. You will notice this is the first verb you've seen that has accent marks. Many of the forms of estar use an accent mark. It does not change the way we pronounce the vowel. It happens to be over the vowel a, but a will always sound like a with an accent mark or without an accent mark. But when you see an accent mark written down, it means punch that syllable harder, right? So in other words, when you look at the word estás, it's estás. It's not estas. There is a word, estas. It's not the word estás. So in other words, without an accent mark, that word happens to exist also. That isn't always true with accent mark words, but it is with this one. but it means something totally unrelated to this word estás, which is a verb, okay? Estás, when you punch the e part, estás means these, okay? Estas chicas, these girls, but estás, you are. Okay, vamos a ver, let's take a look. Let's see if we can just identify which form of estar we would need to use to talk about these people. And remember, verbs go into forms because they tell us who is doing the action. I know this is a verb of being, but if you're talking to a girl, Susana, and you call her by her first name, hint, 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 that means it's a tú thing, right? First name means you're on a tú footing, tú. Buenos dias, Susana. And you want to ask her, how you doing? How are you? ¿Cómo?
Estás.
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? And there'll be estás with an S at the end. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? How are you? ¿Cómo está wouldn't be really quite appropriate because you call her by her first name. So it wouldn't be usted. Yeah. How are you? It'll be the tú, you. ¿Cómo estás? Okay. We want to say the books are in the library. And this is talking about location. I'm telling where the books are. Los libros
Están.
están en la biblioteca. Los libros están en la biblioteca. The books are in the library. So I want you to notice we use estar to say am, is, are when we want to talk about how you feel or where you are. Okay, to talk about how you feel, health or emotions, or where you are, location, we use estar. This word means concentrating, like focused. Nosotros estamos concentrados, focused, really concentrating. Estamos, bien? Estamos, because concentrados talks about how you feel, what your mental state is, okay? Bien? Oh, you want to ask someone, probably in a business setting, are you busy? Maybe a clerk. Are you busy? And we're using usted.
Está.
Está. So the whole question is, ¿está usted ocupado? Ocupado means busy. If you were addressing a female, this is a spoiler alert for adjectives coming up soon. If you were addressing a female as you, would that little word ocupado would have to change to ocupada. That word busy describing a person's mental state or physical state. It depends on, it hinges on gender, right? So it could go into the form ocupada, ending in an A instead of an O, depending on the sex of the person you're talking to. But this one is obviously a male. And we put in the yo, because remember, we usually skip that word yo. The yo is there as a prompt. It's answering the question, ¿está usted ocupado? The answer is, no, yo no estoy ocupado. And usually people will skip the yo. The yo is there only as a prompt to remind you, oh, you answer a tú question with a yo answer, right? No estoy ocupado. And notice double negative. They like double negatives in Spanish. They like those. Two negatives don't make a positive in Spanish. Two negative just makes it nice. Nice and negative. You can have triple negatives in Spanish. You can have quadruple negatives in Spanish. They love that negative stuff. No estoy, no, the no is just answering, no estoy ocupado. To make a normal statement negative, you will just need one word, no, in front of the verb. No estoy ocupado. Okay. A female person, I know it's female because I have the word cansada. Cansada means tired. I'm tired. Yo estoy muy cansada. I'm very tired. Muy is very. It just intensifies the word cansada. Muy, very. Muy cansada, very tired. And the person saying this as yo is a female because we've got that word cansada, tired, in a feminine form. So file that in the back of the gray matter. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Oh, I ask, where's the watch? Or reloj can mean a clock on a wall. If you have a clock like on a wall behind you, where's the clock? Oh, location. ¿Dónde? And reloj is one thing. It can't be yo. It can't be tú. It can't be nosotros. It's a onesie thing, reloj, even though it's not a human being. ¿Dónde
Está.
está el reloj? ¿Dónde está el reloj? ¿Dónde está? Anytime, star this number 6 if you have this printed out, or make a little mark on it or highlight it if you can. When you want to ask where something is, and it's just one thing, where's the coffee shop? Where's the bank? Where's the church? Where's the hotel? Where's the airport? Where's the bus stop? Where is any one thing? It's donde está, donde está. When you're asking for the location of something, it's always the question, donde está? Donde means where? Donde está? Notice it's not de donde. It's not from where, origin. It's where is it located right now, right? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está el reloj? Ah, and if somebody answers, they're talking about the clock. So the verb stays the same when they answer. Ah, está en la pared. It's on the wall. Pared es wall, okay? Está en la pared. It's on the wall. Está en la pared. ¿Dónde está el reloj? Está en la pared. It's on the wall. Okay. Somebody wants to ask in number 7, siete. Hey, are you guys at home? En casa means at home. It does not mean in the house. En la casa would mean in the house. En casa without the word la, en casa just means at home. So somebody says, hey, you guys at home? Maybe they're talking to you on the phone. ¿Cómo se dice? Are you guys at home?
¿Están?
¿Están ustedes en casa? And look, notice we're asking for location. ¿Están ustedes en casa? And because we ask you guys, not you, one person, but all you guys, we answer with a nosotros. No, nosotros no. Oh, I'm sorry. No, nosotros, we don't need another no here.
Estamos.
Estamos en la escuela. No, we're at school. We're not at home. We're at this other place. En la escuela. In school. Estamos en la escuela. Okay. ¿Están ustedes en casa? No. Nosotros estamos en la escuela. Most people will take out the word nosotros and just say, no, estamos en la escuela. Bien? So usually we omit the words yo, tú, nosotros very consistently. They are here only as prompts. So notice number 7, I'm sorry, number 6, número 6, número 7. 6 and 7 both talk about location. Ah. Número 2, number 2 talks about location. Ah. But 3, 4, 5, they talked about a state of mind or how they feel, something that's in that how you feel category, okay? For how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. It's a dumb rhyme, but it works. Okay, and now we've got the word pálida, which looks like pallid, and that's what it means. Pallid means all the colors drained out of your face. It means you're pale. So we would be more likely to say in conversation, pale, because pallid would sound too poetic. Oh, you look very pallid. No, you would say, wow, you look pale. Are you okay? Maria
Está
Está pálida. Because she's got a achoo. Resfriada means this. Achoo. It means you've got a
cold.
cold. Resfriada. And you see frío buried right in the middle of that. This is one of the like 2 or 3 ways to say the illness of a cold, a seasonal cold. María está pálida porque está resfriada. Está pálida means how she looks temporarily because it's related to her health. And resfriada, a cold, is definitely just health. So it's estar. This next word looks like embarrassed. Sadly, this is what we call a false cognate. Embarazada does not mean embarrassed. This word means pregnant. Aha. This is a word that foreigners, English speakers get wrong all the time. Embarazada means pregnant. Cristina
Está.
está embarazada. Cristina is pregnant. Well, that's surely related to health. It surely is temporary. Okay. So we had 8 y 9, 8 and 9 related to health and how you feel. Definitely the temporary thing, the changeable thing. So estar, right? Okay, next we've got a location, location, location. The next 2 talk about location, not health, not feelings, not emotions. Sur means south. Sur means south. Sevilla, Seville. Sevilla is in the south. Está en el sur de España. Sevilla está en el sur de España. It's in the south of Spain. And now we're going to talk about another city in another country. Centro means center or middle, right? Bogotá
Está.
está en el centro de Colombia. Está en el centro de Colombia. Bien. We want to say she's not in the high school. Colegio is not a college. It's another false cognate. It means a high school, okay? College, as we would call it college, is universidad, university. But colegio would mean a high school, a middle school, okay? Something above elementary usually. Ella no está en el colegio because it's location en el colegio. En el colegio. Porque means because. Porque, because she's on vacay. She's on vacation. And this is considered a temporary thing. Ella no está en el colegio porque
Is it está again?
same one, está de vacaciones. Ella no está en el colegio porque está de vacaciones. De vacaciones is the way they say on vacation. Usually to express on in Spanish, you use en. But with vacation, they always say de vacaciones. De vacaciones, okay? And notice vacation is always plural. So if you want to say I'm on vacation, estoy de vacaciones. If you want to say we're on vacation, estamos de vacaciones. If you want to ask, hey, are you on vacation? It's estás de vacaciones. Okay. De vacaciones, it's a block. It's a chunk of words we always use together. De vacaciones, ¿ok? Bien, bueno, 13, número 13, 13. Ellos en el hospital, It's a location.
Están.
Están, because it's more than one. Están en el hospital, porque, because, porque, enfermos, sick.
Están.
Están enfermos. So we have 2 reasons for using estar that are different reasons. En el hospital, location. Están enfermos, they are sick. How you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. And 14, we're going to skip because of vosotros, but it would be estáis, okay? It would be estáis if you were working on that one. So for how you feel or where you are. If you are the type of person who is helped by marking up and highlighted, I would say go back. And every time you see, because this is a clue, this is a mental and a listening clue. When you hear NL, so all these little examples in 10, 11, 12, 13, we had another one up here. Oh, número 2, number 2, en la biblioteca. Every time you hear or see NL or en la, it's talking about location. It means in or on. So if the question is, am I using ser or estar, it's going to be estar with en, el. En, el is a clue. It's telling you a location. Okay. Bien? Are we pretty good with that? See? Okay. A ver. Oh, pardon. I'm going to get that out. Okay. We're going to take this a step further. And we're going to take a look again at our forms of ser and estar. And we're going to, oops. And again, and we're going to take this a step further because we're going to be mixing up now ser and estar a little bit, right? Soy, eres, es. These are ser, not estar. Ser. Soy, eres, es. Somos, sois for Spaniards, and son. Ser is used to talk about identifying somebody. We identify, we talk about what their physical or personality traits are. We talk about where they're from, because where you're from never changes. It's static. It's a static thing. We talk about professions, what you do for a living. Ser tends to pair itself up with situations that are more permanent, but don't get too hung up on the word permanent. But you know, where you're from cannot change. That's where you were born. Yeah. Okay, what you do for a living, that could change. People always argue that, but in medieval times, it did not change. Whatever profession you were born into, that's what you did, right? I mean, that's why. Okay, so ser tends to be used to say am, is, are for more permanent situations. Estar tends to be used for more temporary or easily changeable situations. For how you feel and where you are, always use the verb estar. If it doesn't fall into that little rhyme, it's ser. It's the other guy. But here's estar. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. Okay. Estáis only for Spain. All right. Bien. Bien, 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 bien. These two verbs are used a lot to talk about describing people. When we describe people, we talk about where they're from, maybe where they're located right now, wherever they are working or living. When we describe people, we talk about hair color, we talk about eye color, we talk about whether they're a happy-go-lucky kind of person or a funny, humorous person, right? Whether they're an accountant or a mathematician or a teacher or a programmer or a singer or a dancer or whatever it is that they are. We use all these things to describe people, but we're going to introduce one more thing into the mix, and that is the verb tener. Tener actually kind of does double duty because we will find out today that sometimes tener is also used to say am, is, are, but only sometimes. Tener also means primarily to have. okay? And where tener tends to bleed over into this thing of saying am, is, are, is that sometimes if I want to say I am brunette, you might say I have brown hair. Okay, so sometimes that can happen. Or when you say I am hungry, I am thirsty, I am 45 years old. Oddly enough, for certain kinds of expressions, we use tener, which really doesn't mean am, is, are, it means have, but Spanish uses this verb have in such a way in certain expressions that in English we would use am, is, are, but in Spanish they wouldn't, they would use this verb. So technically, remember, tener means to have, but sometimes it will bleed over into this thing where we translate it a different way in English, but it means to possess something. And so we're going to start to get familiar with the forms. If you haven't memorized the forms yet, no worries, don't worry about it, but we're going to take a look at tener. And what's going to happen with most verbs in Spanish, just so that you know, tener is what we call a very irregular verb, like ser is very irregular, like estar is very irregular, but tener is irregular in a specific kind of pattern. Okay, what generally happens with most verbs is this er that's at the end of tener, we get rid of that first when we conjugate it. And tener is very, very irregular. It gets a G for the yo form, and there's no G. When you look at tener, where it comes from, there is no G. Wow, that's weird, but only for the yo and no other place a G comes in. It does. Tengo. Tengo, I have. Tengo lentes, I have glasses. Tengo una camisa azul, I've got a blue shirt. Tengo un reloj, tengo un smartwatch, tengo un reloj, aquí, bien. Tengo audífonos, got a headset, okay. I have these things, but I can also say, oh, I've got a drink, tengo sed. I have thirst. I can also say, tengo 65 años. I have 65 years. How odd. You never say I am 65. You say I have 65 years, or however your age is. Tengo 65 años. If you're very, very hungry, tengo hambre, I have hunger. So just know, besides tengo can mean ownership, it can also mean be used with special phrases, okay? Where in English we wouldn't say have, but in Spanish they do. So here are the forms of tener. Tengo, I have. Tienes, you have. And don't memorize these yet, just know that they're there. Tiene for él or ella or usted, talking about one human being. Tenemos, tenemos, we have. Tenéis they use only in Spain. And for a plural group of people, they or you guys, ellos, ellas, or ustedes, tienen. Okay, and I want you to say these forms with me together once, just so you get used to how they sound. Okay, repitan por favor. Tengo.
Tengo.
Tienes.
Tiene.
Tienes.
It sounds a little bit like tennis, but it's tienes. Because we pronounce every sound. Tienes. Then we have tiene.
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 Then we get rid of that letter I when we go bounce up to nosotros. Tenemos.
Tenemos.
Tenemos. Tenemos. Okay. Tenéis is only in Spain. And then the they form. Tienen.
Tiene.
Tienen.
Tienen. And I want you to notice yo verbs often get an O. They didn't with soy and estoy, but often other verbs will do that. Two verbs always get this sound at the end, always, always. We drop the S, we get rid of it, when it becomes a one person form, we get rid of the S, right? Most always means a nosotros thing, a nosotros action, always. And that N at the end of a verb always means they're doing it. It always means a they. And in every verb, whether it's regular or irregular, those rules are going to hold. It's a standard thing. When you hear somebody say a verb in action and you hear those sounds tagged down to the end of the verb, it's going to indicate who's doing that action and what that is about. Okay, let's look, and I'll give you the link to this thing. And this kind of
Marilyn, in
Sí,
the
sí.
conjugations, what happened in the third person singular? What happened to it?
Oh, what happened to it? It falls in that category. But it, I'm going to be very careful how I phrase this. When it is a subject, like I'm talking about my car. Oh, it works. I'm talking about my car. It works because it's not a human being, right? It works. We never, when it is a subject of a sentence, we never use the word it. We just plug in that verb. So I could say, por ejemplo, tengo un carro viejo. I've got an old car. Pero funciona, but it works. Pero funciona bien, but it works well. And I never use the word it. If you say, I have it, if it is the object of a sentence, then we do have a word it. But when it is the subject of a sentence, we don't use the word it. But you will conjugate the verb for it as if it were él or ella or usted. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to say, I use this to keep my cat off of my keyboard while we have class. If I want to say it's here, está aquí, está aquí. And I won't use the word it, I'll just use the verb, está aquí. If I talk about what it is, it's a onesie thing, even though it's not a human being. Es una botella, es una botella, it's a bottle. I'm talking about what this thing is. Es una botella de plástico. It's a plastic bottle. Está aquí, it's here. Está aquí. Okay. Es fea, it's ugly. Okay. It, when you conjugate and say, you know, about a verb, when you use it with a verb like that, it will just be está because it's a one thing. Okay.
So really, you never use it?
You never use it if it is the subject of a sentence.
Okay.
Instead of saying bottle, I say it.
Yeah.
It's here. It's made out of plastic. It's a bottle. Gee, it's ugly. I never say the word it, I just say the verb. But if I want to say I have it, I have, that's the action. Then it becomes a word.
So then it'd be tango.
Then it would be la tengo, la, because it's la botella, la tengo. Oh, la botella, the bottle, la tengo aquí, I have it here, la tengo en la mano, la tengo en la mano, I have it in my hand. It I have, it's not I have it. La tengo en la mano.
So the la is either the or it?
Yes.
Okay.
When I use la by itself in front of a verb, it, a feminine thing, la tengo, I have it. But la botella, I use la with a noun. Now it means the. So la means the. La is also like a stand-in. You know, a stand-in in the movies, when you didn't want to hit John Wayne in the face, they bring in some other poor schmuck who had to stand there and get hit in the face. Well, yeah, they don't really, but you know what I mean. Stuntman, the stand-in. That's what the word la is. It stands in. When I don't want to say the word botella, I don't want to repeat it. The word la can stand in to mean it, if it's a feminine thing. If it were a masculine thing, it would be lo, not el, but lo. Okay, so all those little words start to become kind of complicated. But it, in general, in Spanish, will either be the word la or the word lo. Lo. Now I've just blown your mind, probably. Don't worry about that yet. Don't worry about that yet. But la without the noun means it's standing in for the noun. It's representing it. Yeah.
If it's female,
If it's female, and if it's male, it'll be lo.
lo. Okay.
Ah, so lo tengo. So la tengo because this is la pluma. Ah, la tengo. La tengo en la mano. But el café, lo tengo. Lo tengo. I have it because it's coffee. El café. Ah, lo tengo. Lo tengo aquí. I have it here. Ah, el libro. Lo tengo aquí. I have it here. Bien. Okay. Make sense? See? Kind of. Don't worry. Okay. We are going to, ooh, shoot, I'm running short. Okay. I'm running short. I am going to show you something because I want to show you examples. This video here, which is, well, it's kind of longish anyway, which is why I'm going to give it for homework. This video here is going to show you how sometimes when you want to say I am, or you are, or he is, she is, or they are, we might use in Spanish ser or estar, or sometimes even tener. Even though tener means to have, sometimes we use tener in English when we use I am, sometimes. So tener has two purposes. It either means possess, own, right? I have something. Or in certain expressions, it may be translated into our English expression of I am, you are, he is, she is, they are. And that video is going to show you when that happens. Your book does not talk about that, but do watch that video. That'll be in your email as homework. It's going to have this lady with glasses like mine, except a different color. And it does a very good job of showing you examples of when we use ser versus estar versus tener to say I am. It does a great job of that. You're going to have that for homework. Okay, a ver, let's take a look at examples of this together because I'm going to preview this for you now. We're going to describe people, and we're going to use most of the time a form of ser, or most of the time a form of estar, and maybe once in a while we're interject a tener once in a while, but only a few. Okay, bien. Tengo que engrandecer. I need to make this bigger so that you actually don't have to make yourself go blind trying to see it. I'm going to identify who he is, or talk about what he physically is like, what his personality is like, where he's from. And I'm even going to throw in an estar. I'm going to add an extra one. Oh, let me do that. Espero que sí. Okay, Bien. Es el líder político del Canadá. Because the way you're going to get ser and estar is from examples of seeing it and hearing it. Es el líder político del Canadá. I'm identifying him. See? Leader, yes, it is. Se llama, his name is, se llama Justin Trudeau. Es canadiense. I'm telling his nationality, where he's from. Es canadiense. He's Canadian. Es joven. I'm telling, he's not an old guy. Yeah,
He's young.
he's young. Think juvenile. Joven, juvenile. Comes from the same base word. Great big old Toga language, Latin, yeah? Es joven, he's young. Es guapo, he's
Cute.
good looking. Es guapo, he's handsome. Tiene el pelo negro. He has black hair. Okay, maybe it's brunette, but yeah. Tiene el pelo negro. He has black hair. Okay. Está en Ottawa. Now I'm telling where he's located. Not where he was born necessarily. I don't know where he was born, but where he is right now. Está en Ottawa. Bien, ¿comprenden? How you feel or where you are. Always use the verb estar. Okay, a ver. Let's take one more look at Salma. I know we did this before, but Salma. Oh, la bella Salma, the beautiful Salma. Se llama Salma Hayek. Es mexicana. Where she's from. Es de Mexico, from Mexico, where she's from again. Es morena, she's brunette. Es actriz, what she does for a living. Está en Los Ángeles. Está en Los Ángeles. She's in LA. Oh, it won't let me put the accent mark over a capital. I'm sorry. Está en Los Ángeles. Está en el estudio. She's in the studio where she's located. Está con el director de su película. She's with the director of her movie. Who she's with is still location, even though it's not a place. Who she's with. Okay. Now, have verb. Tiene dos hijos. She has two
Sons.
kids, sons. Tiene un esposo muy rico. Now it really means has. She has a very rich husband. El esposo de Salma, Salma's hubby, el esposo de Salma es de Francia. He's from France. Él es un francés muy rico. He is a very rich French guy. Un francés, a Frenchman. Es un francés muy rico. He's a very rich Frenchman. Bien? Vale. Let's look at some other examples. Ooh. I'm going to try to move these over a little bit. Angela Merkel es de Alemania. She's from
Germany?
Germany. Alemania, Germany. Angela es alemana. She is German. And notice that alemana is a feminine word because Angela Merkel es una mujer. She's a woman, see? Angela es alemana, nationality. Angela es ministra del gobierno. She's a government
Official.
minister, yeah, sí. El hombre, the man, el hombre es el señor Macron. Macron. Roger will have to correct my French. El hombre es el señor Macron. Macron es de Francia. Macron es el presidente de Francia. I'm telling where Macron is from. I'm identifying what he does as a job. Es el presidente de Francia. Ángela está with. Con means with, right? Conjoined twins are with each other, literally, right? Con means with. When you take a concurrent class, it means you're taking them both with each other at the same time. Con means with. Ángela está con Macron. Angela is with Macron. Where she's located. She's with another human being. See? Ellos están en Francia. They are in. Okay. Ellos están en París. Están contentos. They are happy. Están contentos. I did not make this feminine, even though Angela is a woman. I'm talking about a male and a woman together. So it makes it into a masculine description. Contentos. Makes sense? See? Bien. You'll see that with adjectives. Okay. Vale. Un ejemplo más. One more example. And then we'll move on. I'm a little behind schedule. Uy, ay. A ver. Okay. Tenemos aquí, we have here, tenemos aquí dos tenistas. We have a couple tennis guys. A ver. Okay, I need to move it a little bit more, un poquito más. El hombre a la izquierda, the guy to the left. El hombre a la izquierda es Roger Federer. I'm identifying him. Roger es famoso. Roger es tenista. What he does. Famoso, well, it's not physically what he looks like, but everybody knows this guy, yeah? He is famous. That's kind of permanent. Es tenista. This is what he does for a living. Roger es gran campeón. He's a great champion, campeón. Él es muy rico. He's a rich guy. Es de Suiza. He's from Switzerland, where he's from. El hombre a la derecha es Rafa Nadal. Es famoso y rico. Es de España. También means also. También es campeón. He's also a champion. But now if I talk about the two of them together, not just Roger, not just Rafa, right? Just Roger, just Rafa, it's es or maybe está. Están in Wimbledon, they're at Wimbledon here, see? But now when I talk about both of them together, I have to use plural verbs. So, ellos son tenistas famosos, they are famous tennis players. Son europeos, they are European. Están en un torneo, tournament. They're at a tournament. When you see en, it's telling you a location, something about location with, and I didn't highlight my en. When you've got a phrase beginning with en, it is telling you a location in most cases, right? En un torneo, están en un torneo. I'm telling you where they are. They're at a tournament. For how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. Están en un torneo. Están en un estadio grande. They're in a big stadium. Están en el estadio de Wimbledon. Location. Bien? Is this starting to make sense when we use ser, when we use estar? A little bit? Un
Yes.
poco? You're going to see more examples of this when you watch this video, and they're going to throw in that third new verb, tener. They're going to throw it in. Tener only means am, is, are in special phrases. Otherwise, it will mean ownership, tener, tener, okay? Bien? A ver. Ooh, and I'm running super, super short. Okay, perdón. This is why I'm adding on another class, an extra freebie class. Here we go. I've got to find my correct thing here. Okay, we're not getting to as much of la casa as I wanted to. Here's what I want you to see. We may start to mix these verbs, hay and tiene and está, or esersona, whatever forms you've got there, to talk about la casa. And we're going to do more of this next week. I thought we were going to do it this week, but we're going to do more of it next week. You watched these two videos, correct? About la casa for vocabulario, vocab. Okay. So one thing you should know, I want to point out one thing about vocabulario, vocabulary. There are many different ways to say bedroom. You know, for living room, it's sala. For kitchen, it's cocina. For baño, baño, bathroom. Okay, but for bedroom, regionally, sometimes even within the same country, different regions use different words for bedroom. So just know the most common words for bedroom are cuarto, which is just a general word for room. And notice it's cuarto because they're your quarters, not cuatro, which is this number. Right? Cuatro with TR is the number, but cuarto with RT is a room. Cuarto might mean just any general generic room, but cuarto is often used for bedroom. This is my preference for bedroom. And do know that habitación is kind of a generally accepted word in the hotel industry to talk about a room you're renting. Habitación, habitación. So habitación is bedroom, cuarto can mean bedroom, dormitorio, which, yeah, you've got a nice English word that's kind of similar, sort of, yeah, dormitorio can mean. Also, some places use the word alcoba. Some places use the word recámara. So, oh shoot, why do they have so many words? I don't know, but it's a regional thing that happened over many hundreds of years. So just know there are many ways to talk about bedroom. But what we are going to do, uy, ¿dónde está? Where'd my... Aquí. We're going to real quickly rifle through what some of these rooms are. ¿Qué es? What is this room? ¿Qué es? El cuarto, just the room.
Sala.
La sala. La sala. La sala. La sala. And now it's important to call it la sala, because if you just say sal without the a at the end, sal without an a at the end means salt, the thing you put on your food. So sala. La sala. La sala es femenina. It's a feminine word. La sala. And next week, I will give you these to look at this weekend. And I want you to think about this because we're going to describe these rooms. We're going to talk about maybe what kind of furniture they have, what the rooms are. La sala es la sala. It's a living room. Okay, vale. A ver. Ah. ¿Qué cuarto es? What room is it? ¿Qué cuarto es? And there are a bunch of words for this.
Habitación.
Es la habitación. I could say es el cuarto. I could say es el dormitorio. Okay. Bien. Ah, ¿qué cuarto es? What room is this?
Cocina.
Es la cocina. Es la cocina. So we're going to talk about whether these rooms are big or little, or maybe what color or what kind of furniture they've got. ¿Qué es el cuarto?
El baño.
Es el baño. Es el baño. One thing I want to tell you about baño. Baño in your home is one thing, but when you go to a restaurant, quite often in English, we say, where's the bathroom? Or we might term it as where is the restroom? If you're not in a house, if you're at a restaurant or a museum or some kind of public facility, they may call it baño, bathroom, but they may call it something else. So just be prepared for that. You want to ask, where is the bathroom? And you're in a restaurant. This is a common thing. Baño, for some people, has a connotation of it's got a bathtub, and a restaurant sure doesn't have that. Okay, so you could ask, ¿Dónde está el baño? And most places will accept that. That's not a weird request. ¿Dónde está el baño? But there are some people who may not use that word for a public restroom. They might say, ¿Dónde están los servicios? Services. So I'm talking public restrooms here. You're in a restaurant. Somebody might ask it, and this is just in Spain. I don't think they use this word very much in Mexico. ¿Dónde están los aseos? Aseos means neat rooms. You fix yourself up neat, yeah? But los servicios, almost everybody understands that. So that's why I've got that underlined. It means restroom, los servicios. Some people may phrase it as the men's room. ¿Dónde está el cuarto de hombres? ¿Dónde está el cuarto de damas? Or ¿dónde está el baño de damas? ¿Dónde está el baño de hombres? So they may list it as that. But this underlined one is a nice generic term for restroom if you're in a restaurant, okay? Para que sepan, just so you know. Okay. Este cuarto, this room, ¿qué es? ¿Es el baño? No es el baño. What do we call this room?
Es la sala.
Es la sala, es la sala, bien. Es la sala, es, ¿qué cuarto es?
Habitación.
Es la habitación, or I might say es el dormitorio, or I might say es el cuarto, ¿ok? ¿Qué cuarto es?
Casino.
Es la cocina, muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Y, ¿qué cuarto es? What room is this? No es la cocina. Está cerca de la cocina. This is near la cocina.
Is that el comedor?
Es el comedor. So, the word comedor means dining room. Comedor comes from the verb comer. Comer means to eat. Comer means to eat. So we take that word comer, we get rid of the ER at the end of comer, com. You have com, and we make it comedor. Comedor means a room we eat in. Comedor. El comedor. Es el comedor. So I will give you these to look at and just kind of think about them. Think about, how many chairs does it have? Think about maybe what kind of appliances it has, how big it is, okay? Think about those things. Just look at these photographs and we'll talk about them next week. We will talk about them and I'm going to show you how we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them this way. La sala tiene, it has. Yeah, la sala tiene un sofá grande, tiene dos ventanas, tiene dos lámparas, tiene dos mesitas, two side tables. Mesa is a table, mesita makes it little in size. La sala está en el primer piso. The living room is on the first floor. primer piso, segundo piso. Bien? So now I'm talking about where it is located. La sala está en el primer piso. Usually your living room's on the first floor. Bien? And we will kind of use, and I will leave this looking like this so that you know that we're going to talk about these other rooms and do a little bit to describe them next week and talk about them. And we're going to use ser and estar and a little bit of tener. Okay? Bien?
Sí.
You don't have to write it down if that helps you to think about it. Sure, go ahead. But we'll use these next week to talk about and describe. So what you're going to do is you're going to, you'll probably review a little bit of that vocabulary from chapter 4 in your book. And then you're going to start to look at describing things in chapter 5, describing things. Ooh, describing things. It's going to start to talk about adjectives. And what it's going to tell you basically is that all adjectives, words that describe a noun, a person, place, or thing, they have to be in the same form as that noun that they're talking about. So if I take the word el carro, car, el carro is masculine and it's 1. And if I want to say the red car, it'll have to be el carro rojo, the car red. They don't say the red car. They say the car red. El carro rojo, rojo. But if I want to say the red cars, I want to look at all the red cars on this lot. Los carros rojos. The red car, the Reds car, the car's Reds. It's the way they say it. It's weird. It's odd and it's weird. I'll give you a little video to start to think about adjectives because that chapter in the book will talk about adjectives. And it's going to talk about adjectives only from the point of view of colors as a starting point. Okay? ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Okay, bien. We're going to leave the realm of numbers for a while now. Muy bien. Eso es todo. That's it. That's it for right now. So, bien.
Thank you.
De nada. Es un placer. Any questions in the middle of the week? Shoot me a quick email. We're all good to go. Okay? Está bien.
Gracias.
De nada. De nada.